What if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman? My name is Eric, and welcome to the craziness that lives inside my head. As I was cruising through the YouTube channels, one of the channels had a very interesting question. And the question was, what if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman and gets on the feminine hormone therapy to become a woman? Should he be able to fight women? Now, in my crazy mind, brought back memories of growing up. You might say, why? I say, yeah. You see, I was a fat kid, always getting beaten up. But women used to beat me up. I had my cousin, I had a female cousin, her name is Denise. We were in the same class in kindergarten in first grade. And we used to have a community center. We lived in a project. Well, they live in the projects. Her mother was my babysitter. So they lived in the projects. And we went to school together, same school. And after school, they had a community center, which we stayed in the community center until her mother comes home from work. And every time I go to the community center, I always get into these hissy fights with these girls. And they always beat me up. And I came out running out of there crying, and my cousin Denise said, "What happened? What happened? Why are you crying?" I said, "Well, these girls beat me up." So she would go in there and kick their ass. Her and I were the same age, by the way. But she was more like a tomboy. She would beat up the girls. So if I have any problem with a female when I was younger, I get my cousin to beat them up. Because I couldn't beat him up. It had nothing to do with being a man or whatever. I couldn't fight. Then it got worse. And then, of course, like I said, I was bullied by guys. I couldn't fight. But the older I got, the bigger I got, the less guys would bother me, people, period, because I was so big. I could, I don't have to fight. I could just sit on top of you. I should sit on them. They say they swing and you push them down and you hop on top of them and bust that and squeeze all the air out of their body. Oh, that's nice. So, when I heard that question, it just brought imagery to my head, I mean, what if Mike Tyson, see how big it is, he decides to be himself. Let's say he grown up, he was a girl or a sister, whatever you want to call it. And then he realizes, well, that's what he was all the time. And he decided to say, well, I'm going to come out the closet. I'm going to identify myself as a female, and I'm going to take all the hormones to become one. And I said, he does. Interesting question. Once he identifies as a female, and I forgot how the terminology, and I forgot how much therapy you have to take to become one to be legally approved a female. I don't know how that goes. And then let's say he does that, and he decides to, or she decides to, or it decides to, go boxing with the women, beating up the women and boxing. I mean, does the female hormone makes him more feminine, less strong, or would he be on the same level as the women? It's a very interesting question. I mean, like I said, when I heard that, I thought about all those girls when I was beating my ass when I was young. But like I said, I had a girl cousin. She beat their ass. So I remember a lot of stuff. I remember when we had two guys in school, in junior high school. Well, I forgot their names, so I'm not gonna make up any names. But one was not as masculine and not well versed in fighting, And every time he get into a fight, and I think guys used to pick on him. Like I said, I was fat. If they pick on me, they know, and they'll stay away from me because they know once I grab them, and I throw them to the ground and sit on them. But this guy was, skinny mini. And every time he gets into a fight, he fights like a girl. You know? We know those types. We all had those types. And I think that's why they got. I remember I had 2 cats, and they would fight. That's how cats fight. One do this, one do that. It's funny. So that's why I figured that's they call it cat fights. And then on the other side of this, I was hanging out on 42nd Street, and this girl, there was like window shopping on 42nd Street. There's only 2 or 3 shops you could window shop. So it was this couple. The woman was taller and bigger than the guy that she was dating. And then there was window shopping, and then came out the shop was this drag queen, big drag queen. She looked nice. She had her makeup on correctly. She had her hair well done. Came out the store, and the guy started bursting. This is in 42nd Street. It's in the 70s. The guy burst out laughing. He laughed. He said, "Look at that! Look at that sissy! Look at that sissy!" And just laugh. So the so-called sissy punched him in the face and knocked him out. I said, "Damn." Well, to be honest with you, back in the 70s, if you're going to walk around and drag, you better be able to protect yourself because people would, make fun of you and take advantage. I mean, that came to mind too with this question. What if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman? I don't know. It's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. But I do know a lot of drag queens, especially the ones from the ghetto, they knew how to fight. I had one try to beat my ass, but she stayed away from me because once I grab her, I want to sit on top of her. So that's the only way I know how to fight. I didn't know how to fight no other way. I picked up back in the 80s. I picked up this guy who boxed. He was a boxer, but of course he's one of these con artists. These con guys, they live off of men and women. They couldn't care what you are. All they know is they got a roof over their head and drugs in their system. And he said to me, as he was in the bathroom, I'm fixing dinner. He's in the bathroom taking a crap with the door open. That's not so disgusting with the door open. He's taking a crap. And then we was talking about something, and he said, because I wouldn't let him move in with me. That was the whole thing. He wanted to move in. I wouldn't let him move in with me. So anyway, I don't know what the conversation was, but then I heard him, and I'm yelling at him, why don't you shut the door? Shut the door. And then he says to me, you're the type I couldn't beat. I would have to shoot you. Well, I got rid of him pretty quick. I told him, when you finish taking your crap, take your little rags and get the hell out of my house. Because when somebody think that way, it's time for them to go. I'm only bringing all this up because when I heard, every time I think about it, could you see Mike Tyson? Remember that show in Living Color? One of the Wayland brothers, I forgot the name, which dress up dress up one of the skits with the drag queen. Well, could you imagine something like that fighting a woman? And that's what comes to my mind when I heard that. What if Mike Tyson identifies as a woman? I was like, wow. And then they allow it? Could you imagine they allow someone who identifies as a woman and take the homo shots and still looking like that guy in Living Color to get in the ring with a regular woman and beat her ass? I would guess, unless the homo treatment make him less masculine, that they can't fight. He be going like this and she be punching him out. Could you see this? Pow! Anyway, you just heard the craziness that lives inside my head.